But letting go of the certainty allows for so much more. It frees us up for adventure, frees us up for possibility. It frees us up for something even better than we could have imagined. Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy, and today is going to be an amazing day. Today is going to be such a good day. I am just so enjoying this month. And one of the things that I've been practicing this month, I want to share with you because it's pretty powerful. It's a practice of letting go of certainty. And in today's episode, I want to share with you how letting go of certainty allows us, frees us to enormous success and possibility, and how holding on to certainty of an outcome actually limits us. You know, I had an experience years ago when I was trying something new. This podcast. It was something that I just, wanted to explore and experiment with. And I had no attachment to the outcome. It was right during the lockdown, in the pandemic, and I had this urge to reach out and to speak to people. I mean, we were so isolated at the time. And I was also really focusing on this idea of what is happiness and how do we cultivate happiness? And really the impetus for the podcast, the nidus for the idea of this podcast was interviewing incredibly successful people who were also happy, right? Looking at my incredible colleagues in the medical and dental world who were surrounded by abundance and opportunity and wealth and community, relationships, everything that you could possibly wish for if you were to outline a perfect, happy life. And yet so many of them were struggling with anxiety, overwhelm, depression, fear, just not living a happy life. I mean, literally waking up every day wishing the day would end, wishing the week would end. This cultural acceptance of something called hump day, that middle of the week, and the whole idea of hump day being that you just got to get over the hump and then we're on our way to the weekend. This cultural acceptance of just being okay with giving away 5 days of our week. I mean, that's what I wanted to understand. How can we live every single day? And that's when I came up with this podcast idea. I thought, I'm just going to find out. I'm going to let people know what's been working for me in terms of cultivating happiness, and then find out what are other people doing and how can we support one another in practicing and learning and understanding happiness. And before I get to the part about certainty and letting go of certainty, I just want to share this with you. A really deep math that I did this weekend, and it struck me, and I've been holding on to this, ever since I figured this out. I was doing the math. I had read a study that was established, that was run in 2020, then again in 2021, and then again in 2022. And they were looking at dentists specifically, and what is the lifespan of a dental career? So how long are we actually spending in our careers in dentistry? And it turns out it's around 40 years. First of all, that number blew me away. Couldn't believe that incredible men and women dedicate 40 years of their life to a profession. That's the average length of a dental profession. I mean, really, it's been slowly ticking down over the years, but really it's still around 40 years in a profession. I mean, that's longer than most people stay married. It's incredible to me. And then I did some more math, and I thought, if you're really miserable in what you do, if you're working 5 days a week, which is what the average dentist works, if you're working 5 days a week and you're miserable in what you do and you're just living for the weekends, you're just living to vacations, and after interviewing a few of my coaching clients, I found that most people really only give themselves 2 real vacations a year. So they'll take 2 weeks in December around Christmas and then 2 weeks in the summer. And so if we strip out those vacation days and strip out the weekends, and we look at over a 40-year career, if every day you went into work and you were not living your best life, if you were just giving in to the fact that today I'm just going to make it through, I'm just going to push through this day. This is work. I don't have to like it. It earns me this. It gives me that. I just have to show up, get through this day. If you had that attitude every single day, and in my perspective, didn't live fully every day that you're at work, that number adds up to 26 years of your life. Over a 40-year career. 26 years are spent miserable. It just struck me so incredibly because, there's this great push right now for longevity and staying healthy and adding years to your life. And we're learning about mushrooms and adaptogens and cold baths and cold showers and Wim Hof breathing and trying to extend our lives and our livelihoods. And I feel like I just came upon an opportunity to find 26 years of life, to add 26 years to your life if you could just figure out how to be happy every day and not wishing away those days, because if you wish away those days, you've robbed yourself of 26 years over a 40-year career. That just blew my mind. It blew my mind. That the way we show up, our attitude, our ability to be present in the moment actually robs us from experiencing that moment. And that was the impetus for starting this podcast. The podcast was just built from a place of curiosity. I didn't have any expectations of what it would become or who would listen. I just was starting it out of curiosity and hope and opportunity and adventure, if you will. And what has grown from it has been spectacular. I've grown a whole business around this podcast. I definitely did not start out that way. I did not start out thinking, I'm going to start a podcast and it's going to be a business and it's going to reach X number of people and it's going to have this amount of credibility. No way. It was just this spark of an idea, of an adventure, of a dream, curiosity. And that's the power of not holding on to the certainty. I think so many times we find safety and security and certainty. We think there's safety and security and certainty. I remember when I was thinking about who I was going to marry, when Killian and I were dating, and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to spend the rest of my life with him. And that was exciting and thrilling. And I remember feeling like, Tarryn, you've got to know, you've got to be sure. This is a big step. And I remember obsessing over, how do you know if it's the right one? Almost that obsession became more important than enjoying the moments with him, because I was analyzing and judging and trying to figure out if this was the right decision or not. And in that obsession and that intention for certainty, we rob ourselves of the experience of this beautiful life. It's not just that, we also rob the opportunity of all the possibilities. I remember when I was starting my practice, it was the same thing. It was like, okay, I've got to make sure I have this many patients. I want it to be this big. It's got to earn this amount of income. And all those expectations become extremely limiting. Just thinking about expectations of an outcome, you feel constricted, don't you? Don't you feel narrowed in? And even in having an assumption or an expectation of an outcome of anything we do, we limit ourselves. And immediately it drops our emotional vibrational level, right? We feel a little bit pressured as opposed to hopeful and excited. I go back to those days of starting the podcast and, oh my gosh, hopeful and excited were the words I definitely can relate to that feeling. As opposed to if I'd come into this endeavor with super expectations and certainty of the outcome, now I feel constricted. And in fact, it even feels slightly judgmental. Do you know what you're doing? Are you any good at this? They're people who know much better than you. In fact, let's compare you to other people. Let's start comparing. And immediately when we get into the place of comparison, now we feel worse about ourselves. So if the whole point of enjoying our lives, doing what we do in business, in healthcare, in dentistry, in life, in parenting, in marriage, if the whole point is to regain those 26 years back, to enjoy every Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and welcome it, we have got to let go of the expectations. Even in the morning when we wake up and we think, oh my gosh, today's going to be a great day, and the expectations of a great day are XYZ. No, it limits us. Again, number one, brings us right down into a pressured feeling. Okay, already I'm not enjoying this day because I'm feeling pressured. Number two, we start looking outside of ourselves for definitions of what a great day should be, or a great business, or a great podcast, or great marriage. And now we're in comparison mode, dropping myself again down that emotional vibrational scale, feeling a little bit worse about myself. Hey guys, I'm interrupting your podcast episode to let you know about an incredible new program that I'm launching in January of 2023. It is specifically for practitioners in medicine and dentistry to help you rediscover happiness and inner fulfillment within your profession and your life. I remember what it was like for me when years ago I was so depressed and anxious and feeling like I had created and built a treadmill I just couldn't get off of, pushing through every day and wishing my life away. This program is the how of how to find happiness in your practice and in your life, because we know that when we feel good, that's when we can do good. Check out thebizofhappiness.com/radical happiness, or click the link in the show notes. I cannot wait to see you there. You know, those times, if you think back over your life, when you let go of the outcome, how many times were you so surprised by an even better result than you could ever have imagined? When you released expectation from something, didn't it blossom into something so much more beautiful? When you didn't force and expect or have certainty of the outcome, maybe you were surprised by something you never could have imagined. And that's what letting go of certainty does. When we don't define success by certainty of the outcome, we allow for such more enormous opportunity. What if I just go and find out? What if I just launch this podcast and see what happens? What if I don't put expectations? Maybe I'll show up. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll make it twice a week. Maybe I'll make it twice a month. I'll see how I feel. And then when I get into it, if I'm enjoying it, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to have fun with it. I mean, even if we approached exercise that way, instead of putting an expectation on the outcome, you know what that takes? That level of freeing yourself up from certainty, it takes a lot of acceptance of where you are now. And that's a skill. Because I think so many times we dive into new adventures, new creative business models, new career paths, new relationships from a place of self-judgment or lack, where we're feeling like, where I am right now is not good enough, like this needy place. And in order to let go of the certainty of the outcome of a new adventure, we almost have to have deep acceptance of where we are right now. You know, I love Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks's perspective on happiness. I've researched so many different philosophers and influencers and spiritual leaders about what happiness means to them. And her perspective of happiness is gratitude for everything that is, enormous acceptance for what is, and so much excitement for experiencing more. And there's so much depth in that definition because it allows us to be okay with, if nothing changed, I am just fine. Imagine that level of acceptance in your life, in your relationships, in your body, in your work, in your finances. Imagine just being okay with the way it is right now, accepting it. And accepting doesn't mean subjecting yourself to abuse or subjecting yourself to things that are not working well. It's allowing for the lesson in those moments, right? So full acceptance of your body, for example, just exactly the way it is, doesn't mean you're not going to try to build strength, right? Or get healthier or fix something that's uncomfortable. But maybe that uncomfortable ache in your shoulder is a lesson that, I need to pay more attention to this and do more stretching in the morning. Or I don't love the way my clothes are fitting on me recently. I need to be a little more cautious about what I'm eating, but I'm going to fully accept this moment. I'm going to fully accept this lesson. I'm going to fully accept the intelligence and brilliance of my body and my mind to be listening for what I need and what I want. And then to be able to completely give ourselves over to our desires, take action on our desires and our dreams, and let go of the outcome. I think one of the areas in my life where this is the most challenging and I'm working on every day is parenting. Because as a parent, I'm so invested in my children's well-being, in their mental health and well-being, and in their ability to, carry themselves when they've left me. My children are teenagers now, so the reality of my children leaving home one day is very real in my mind right now. And being accepting of what is, of the education they've received, of the parenting that I've given and my husband and I have given, of the opportunities we've opened up for them, and then letting go of the outcome, giving them their autonomy in their life to make their own decisions, letting go of what that might look like. Whether my daughter becomes a musician busking in the subway in New York City and is living her best life, just happy to be playing music, or she goes to an Ivy League college and has philosophical discussions with her colleagues at night in a cafe. I mean, I've got to let go of the outcome of what that looks like. Whew, that's sometimes hard. But when we do, there's so much magic. Letting go doesn't necessarily mean that we let go of our desires or our goals. We can still have beautiful goals, but letting go of the certainty allows for so much more. It frees us up for adventure, frees us up for possibility. It frees us up for something even better than we could have imagined. Our imaginations sometimes are just confined to what we've experienced, but there's so much more out there, right? It also allows us the opportunity to embrace paradox and duality, dichotomy. Two things can exist at the same time. You can be happy and sad at the same time. Have you ever had that happen where you're so happy you start crying? Or where you're so in love and something just looks so beautiful you start crying? Or you can be excited and scared at the same time. Like you're about to jump off the bridge and have this thrilling, you can be excited, so excited, adventurous, and a little scared at the same time. Letting go of the certainty of the outcome of our adventures allows us to hold both paradox, both feelings and emotions at the same time. And wow, that's when life gets rich. What if when we wake up in the morning, we say today's going to be a great day, and we don't have a hang up about what that means. Today's going to be a great day, and I have no idea what's going to happen, and I love that. In fact, that's the mantra I'm offering you as just an interesting practice over the next week. What if every day we go into the day with enormous expectation of it being a phenomenal day, and acknowledging, and I have no idea what's going to happen, and I love that. What if you've been, had this desire, this dream, and you've been nurturing it for so long, but you haven't taken action on it? Like maybe you've wanted to go on an adventure to Bali for a month, and it's been so scary to imagine taking a whole month off from your practice and telling your patients that you're not going to be there for a whole month. But what if you just took action on your dreams and had no idea what was going to happen and be so okay and excited about it? We never know what's going to happen. I mean, that's the truth of it. We actually can have zero certainty. We can have zero certainty over the economy, zero certainty over our health, zero certainty over our finance. We're just playing around here if we think that we have any concrete certainty over anything in our lives. So what if we allowed ourselves a little bit of freedom to let go of certainty and to embrace opportunity, embrace possibility? And one of the key tools in that is really strengthening and practicing your muscle of curiosity. And curiosity is the key to creativity. Curiosity is the key to bringing yourself up out of a low-level emotion up into a higher vibrational emotional state. So any moment that I find myself feeling like fearful, judgmental, critical, comparing myself to other people, what can help me bring me out of that are two big things. Gratitude for sure, but curiosity. Curiosity pulls us out of that fear. I wonder what's going to happen. I have no idea. I'm about to hit send on this email and I don't know what's going to happen. And I love that. And so that's the practice of I have no idea what's about to happen. And I love that. That practice helps us strengthen that muscle of letting go of certainty. I'm about to tell her I love her. I have no idea what will happen. And I love that. I'm about to apply for this TED Talk. I have no idea what's going to happen. And I love that. I'm about to plan a trip to Kenya. I have no idea what's going to happen. And I love that. As you go through this next week, I invite you to play with that practice. See what happens. See what happens when you let go of the certainty of the outcome. Even in your morning, today's going to be a great day. I have no idea what it'll bring. And I love that. And then once we start really embracing, loving possibility and opportunity, I can't wait to see what that brings for you because it has been magical in my life. It has been magical, even with my parenting. I have no idea what my daughter's going to be one day. I love that because it's not confining her. It's not putting her in a box. It's not restricting her. She's going to blow us all away. She's going to blow me away for sure because whatever she does is going to be so incredible. I have no idea what it is, and I love that. What if we could allow ourselves to take action on our dreams without certainty? And what if we can embrace that excitement about possibility and opportunity and the unknown? It's exciting. It's an exciting thought. It's an exciting concept. It's an exciting value to live by. And embedded in it is deep faith and courage and self-worth and self-belief. In fact, it can help us cultivate those skills when we give up the need to know the outcome. I hope you've had a wonderful week. I hope that this week, I know it's been Valentine's week, you've been thinking about love, you've been adventuring with love. I mean, I think even with love, we can have this perspective of allowing ourselves to fall in love with others, with ourselves, with adventures, with hobbies, allowing ourselves to fall in love and letting go of what that might look like, letting go of the outcome. I wish you a spectacular week. Thank you always for being here and for just opening up your mind to thinking a little bit differently. I absolutely applaud you. If you are in the medical or dental profession, this takes courage to talk about. I mean, trust me, I had to work on myself to be able to bring these concepts to the medical and dental community because I think for so long in our culture, there's been a lot of rigidity, a lot of need for certainty. So this is groundbreaking. This is revolutionary. but it feels so good. And anytime something feels really good, I know I'm onto something. So have a spectacular weekend. Have a spectacular week. Pay attention every day to how you're living your life and give yourself permission to take back 26 years of your life. I've just added 26 years back onto your life. That's the fastest longevity pill I've ever heard of. Just by acknowledging every day that every day deserves to be a good day and letting go of what that might look like, letting go of the outcome. And remember, when you feel good, that's when you can do good. Bye-bye.